One of my biggest passions is working with both stone medicine and plant medicine, and working with them in combination. So this past weekend, I taught a class called Earth Allies, all about combining stone and plant medicine, some of the methodology and philosophy behind that. And I was so inspired by how many people were jazzed about this medicine that I thought I'd make this video to explain some of the introductory concepts about combining plant and stone medicine and how together they create truly incredible alchemy. So just for starters, the word alchemy means to transform through combination. So that idea that just by bringing together two disparate elements into a combination, great transformation can happen from that relationship. Now, some people are plant people and some people are stone people. And some people are plant and stone people. I'm hoping by the end of this video, you'll be counting yourself among that combination alchemy practitioner. So why work with plants and stones in tandem? Well, one of the things that I like to say about stone medicine is that stone medicine is to plants what plant medicine is to people, human people. So when plants first came onto this planet, who were their predecessors? Stones. So stones have been here since the beginning in many ways. So when we think about stones, right, we think about something that's permanent, that's solid, that's fixed. So when plants arrived on the scene, they were a lot more movable and a lot more changeable than the stones were, right? At least in our concept. But the incredible thing was that in order to survive, plants needed the minerals that make up the stone kingdom. Without the minerals in the soil, plants simply couldn't exist. Now, then we fast forward way farther into the future, and now we have human people, right? So human people's whole existence was built on plants. If it wasn't for the plants that we were harvesting for food, for clothing, for medicine, we simply wouldn't exist. So like plants are to us, stones are to the plants. So this relationship between plants and stones goes back millions of years. They've been working in combination with each other longer than we can even really conceive of. So why I like to work with both plants and stones in combination is that plants and stones help us to touch our multi-dimensional self. That self that is as ancient as the first stone on this planet. So to tap into this, let's talk a little bit about characteristics of both stones and plants. So plants are very changeable. They're very adaptable. They're interactive, evolving, and moving in many ways. Now, plants don't move like we move, right? If there was a jaguar that came into this house right now, I'd run. Plants move and change by changing their physical constituents. So this is why a plant at noon is going to be a different plant than a plant at sundown, because throughout the day and throughout its life cycle, a plant is constantly changing its constituents within its physical body. Now this is how a plant deals with something like an infestation of a pest or a disease, by changing its physical constituents. So in this way, plants are really movable, they're really adaptable, and they're particularly good at changing their inner landscapes, at changing their bodies, and even changing their inner thought processes, if that's how you like to think of it. Now, we employ plant medicine in a really similar way, and I'm specifically talking about physical plant medicine here. So teas, tinctures, salves, eating plants. So we use plants to help us change our internal atmosphere, to change our bodies, systems, and to help us also shift the emotional patterns that go along with those systems. Now, stone medicine, by comparison, is neutral. It's slow, it's permanent, it's solid, and it's deep, right? Stones go down to the bedrock. And although stones are also changing and moving in their own ways, stones form, stones dissolve, stones merge, to our limited viewpoint, which is really just a fleck of time in the span of evolution, right? And our limited viewpoint, stones are as permanent as it gets. Like when you say, let's put it in stone, you're like, let's stamp that forever. So stones work with our own selves in that kind of way. So stones can help to go down to those issues that are at the bedrock. Stones can go down to issues that are existing perhaps even between lifetimes. So maybe sort of in patterns of imbalance that we came in to this earth with, patterns of imbalance that feel so deep we don't even know how we're going to reach them. Stones can often help us work on psychospiritual issues that feel as immovable as stone. So on this spectrum of evolution, of creation, plants and stones working together can help us touch and reach our multi-dimensional self. So this is the idea that we are not just a physical being and we're not just a spiritual being either. We're both at the same time. And when we're experiencing an imbalance in our physical body, we can actually trace that back to a need for wholeness in our spiritual self. So the two are completely interchangeable, right? And they're both precious and they're both sacred. And when they come together, our spiritual selves and our physical selves, that's when true alchemy happens, right? The alchemy of this lifetime and the gifts we get to bring to it. So I love working with plants and stones in combination to truly reach and fulfill all of the layers of this multidimensional self. Now, while this is important, I touched on this a little bit earlier, is that oftentimes, even when we feel that we're just dealing with a straight up physical issue, the causes of that physical issue can go deeper, can go into the psycho-spiritual realm or the energetic realm, for example. So just a tiny little example of this is, say you got a cold or a flu, right? So yes, there's an element of randomness to that, but perhaps the deeper message or inherent meaning to that is, girl, you need to rest more. You need to take more time to relax. So again, we're looking at both emotional, spiritual, energetic, and physical. And in combination, plants and stones are an unstoppable duo to truly reach all levels of our multidimensional being. So a great way to conceptualize this is to use the Chinese medicine or Taoist way of thinking about the 3 levels of our being. And I'm going to show you a diagram here so you know exactly what I'm talking about. So in Chinese medicine, there's 3 layers of energetic formation that are inherent to any living thing. And that's the Wei, the Yin, and the Yuan. So the Wei is our outermost layer. It's that superficial layer. And this contains our muscles, our sinews, our internal organs, our emotions, and our joints. So this is the layer that we're often looking at with acute issues such as flus, colds, digestive upset, trouble sleeping. This is often when issues will manifest themselves most clearly. So the idea being that sometimes imbalances really start on this deeper emotional, spiritual level, and they make their way through these levels of communication till they reach that way, and now they're like, you can't avoid me, now you have to pay attention. So the next level, inward, and I want you to notice that we're going inward, right? We're not going upwards, outside of ourselves, we're going deeper in. This is just going deeper into who we really are. The next level in is the yin. So the yin exists within the Wei, and this level, going a little bit deeper, includes our bones, our teeth, our kidneys, our endocrine system, brain, spine, nervous system, marrow, and our DNA. So this is often where chronic issues reside. So we might be thinking about chronic pain, for example, or chronic infections. This is where we're also going to look at hormonal imbalances, neurological conditions. So we're going a little bit deeper here. And why this is often where chronic issues manifest is because we're at that level, right, where we're between sort of what you might consider the unconscious and the conscious, where an issue is in flux and really trying to be communicated. Like, this is deeply important, and it's very much tied to your unconscious, or I like to say your wider consciousness. So when you're having a chronic issue, you want to think about, okay, what is the communication here that's coming from my wider consciousness? Because this is big, and it's going to be a big initiation, and it's actually a tool for great transformation and change. So now we go even one more layer in. We go into the center here, and that's the Yuan. So the Yuan, as the deepest level of our being, is characterized by the unconscious, dreams, symbols, instinct, divination, ancestral patterns, and soul growth. So the issues that emanate out of the yuan are coming from our deeper unconscious. So these are messages from what I like to term our widest self. That self that sees the navigation of our lifetime and is like, I think you really need to change course a little bit, or let's keep going down this path and I want you to know that it's the right path to be on. So oftentimes the yuan is communicating through dreams, through subtle instinct and intuition, signs and synchronicities. So like I said, if we can't receive a message on this yuan level, it'll slowly make its way outward to our outermost level that way until we kind of can't ignore it. Now this is where plant and stone medicine come in. Stones have a deep affinity for this yuan level. Just like the bedrock of our earth, stones can and love to go deep. They want to work on that level. Plants, on the other hand, they have an affinity for the surface. So just like on our earth, plants like to grow on the surface. Now there are some deep sea aquatic plants, of course, but for the most part, plants really like interfacing with that wei and yin level. Now, I like to think about plants as addressing the bloom of this lifetime. So what is the flower of your personality that you're dealing with in this lifetime? So that's not to say that plants only work on a physical level. Of course not. They're absolutely working on an energetic level too. But I often find that plants, they want to address you in this moment in time. What are you blooming? What are you bringing forth? What are you working with in this lifetime? Whereas stones, they can even go into the unconscious patterning between lifetimes, sort of this wider consciousness. So plants and stones in tandem can reach our multi-dimensional self, which is fitting because plants and stones themselves are multi-dimensional beings. A perfect metaphor for the medicine of plants and stones are the yin and the yang. So just like within the yin, there exists that dot of yang, and within the yang, there exists that dot of yin, some plants really do truly like to and will go very deep. And some stones really have the ability to come up to the surface and work with our physical bodies. So just like people, plants and stones are multi-dimensional beings, and within each modality exists the other. And so together, both the yin and the yang and the small reflections within both are what make this completely balanced whole. So I wanted to leave you with one of my favorite practices of combining plant and stone medicine together, and that's a straight up infusion. So all you'll need for this is a stone and your herbs of choice. Now you really want to do your research and make sure that the stone you're working with is okay to be ingested through the water, because some stones frankly aren't. They have heavy metal content or high toxicity. So a really safe place to start is with any of the quartz family. So clear quartz, smoky quartz, rose quartz, all of those are safe to be used in combination with water. This right here is a clear quartz, which is one of my favorite across the board of working with plants. Not only because it's a great harmonizer, it allows all elements of a formula to work well together, but it's also an amplifier, so it will amplify all of the medicine within the formula as well as your intentions. So take some time before you make this infusion to sit with your clear quartz and ask it to amplify whatever intention you have for the reception of this medicine. Whenever you're ready, you're going to stick that clear quartz in a jar, or in any cup you please. And then you're going to cover that quartz with water. Now I tend to like to drink a lot of tea, so I'm just going to fill up this whole quart jar with water. So I like to let it sit overnight so it gets its deepest infusion, and then in the morning all you do is pour off this water from your stone and use that water to make your tea. So whether you're heating up water for a tea bag, or if you're working with loose herbs in a French press, or even herbs on the stove, simply use your infused gem water and make yourself a great tea. So this is a wonderful and really nourishing way to combine plant and stone medicine and makes a dang good cup of tea. So I invite you to begin this journey by developing deeper relationships with both plants and stones. See how they're communicating to you about how they'd like to be used and in what way they want to be allies for you in your process of healing. All you have to do is recognize that plants and stones are multidimensional beings, just like you. So if you have any questions or stories you'd love to share, I would be delighted to see them, and you can leave them right in the comments section below. And I'd also be really interested to know, are there any elements about this you'd like me to go deeper into? I'm excited to be sharing more content up on this YouTube page, and I would love anybody sharing what they'd like me to talk about. So thank you so much for being here in this little mini course with me today, and happy alchemy!